Before I start speaking about Marvel Rivals, I just want to say that I sound really ill, so I apologise that sounds so strange. Not sure what's happened. I think there's some illness going around, but anyway, I think Marvel Rivals has a really, really good chance of being a very successful game. And I know it's fairly obvious, because there's a lot of kind of pretty basic reasons as to why. But I still think it's important to point those out, but also look at the fact that it may not fully succeed. Just to start off, the art design, if you've had any look at the game, or if you've played it, or especially just had more of a look at the characters, the general art direction of the game is, I don't know what it could be compared to, but it's very, very impressive. They've kind of knocked it out the park in that sense. There's not really many other games like it that look that way. I'm not sure how they did it, but the game looks really good. And if anybody else has seen as well, leading up to the release, which is, I believe, only 8 or 7 days away, they've started releasing previews of what skins are going to come up in the game, and I'll show them up on the screen now, but they also look extremely good. I can imagine people are going to spend a lot of money on a lot of skins, just as any other free-to-play game, but you get the point. The actual gameplay itself, when I played the beta, I thought it was really, really polished. I doubt once the game releases there's going to be much change to it, just because aside from a couple of balancing issues, I thought it overall played really, really well. It is really refined, and you know, for example, playing a game such as Overwatch, I know it gets a significant amount of understandable hate, but the actual core gameplay itself is really good, and Marvel Rivals kind of either matches that or even goes further. I'm not really sure how, just because Blizzard in terms of gameplay have always been very consistently good and kind of at the top. It's very impressive that that's even kind of been compared anyway. And one of the, I think, key reasons of the fact that it could be successful is that something like Paladins, which again I know a lot of people rag on, is something that was really popular for a while, and that was by a seemingly less experienced team. I know Hi-Rez have made a couple of large games, but it's kind of just a lot. I know it was made years ago, but it's still a lot less polished than what Marvel Rivals is now. But of course, Marvel Rivals is also free to play, and it's naturally got the absolutely massive IP of Marvel behind it, and not everything to do with Marvel is successful. It doesn't always happen. If anyone remembers the Avengers game, or even the Guardians of the Galaxy one, both just flopped. They just didn't get many people playing them, not many people stuck around. So it isn't always guaranteed, even if it's like a big AAA game, but I think it's got a really solid foundation so far. And of course, yeah, the Marvel IP is just gargantuan. Even with how things have gone with the movies over the years, there's still such a massive fan base, and I think obviously one of the biggest benefits is how many characters they can draw from. Like, as of now, there's not too many villains in the game, but the fact that you can play as heroes and villains, or anti-heroes, or whatever, is a nice touch, and the fact that there's so much potential for who the characters could be. There's a practically infinite amount of characters that people want in the game, and so they're lucky in the sense that they have such a good selection. And of course they still need to make up the abilities and design them in the way that the game looks, but have a good head start in that sense, instead of just making a brand new character. Still though, the game I don't think is absolutely guaranteed to be a success. I would be very surprised if it kind of flops after a few years, but you know, the market is fairly saturated, and people for quite a while, they haven't really wanted hero shooters, or they've thought that there's one too many, and so there's been quite a lot of flops and some games that just haven't made it. And although Marvel Rivals should be off to a good head start, you never know. I think it'll do well at the launch, guaranteed. But whether they stick the landing or not is still something that, you know, might or might not happen. A game like this really, really needs to succeed with the updates that come and the balance, because that can just make or break a game's future, even if the foundation's really good. And again, using Overwatch as an example, I know it still has a pretty large and dedicated fan base, but it's definitely been a very rocky road because of certain balance patches that have destroyed characters or made them way too OP, and especially the content drought between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, when we went a very long time without any sort of significant updates that really messed up the game. But I think if they keep on the ball, I can't see much reason as to why it's going to fail. But I'd love to know anybody else's thoughts, to be honest. I think they've got pretty good odds, but I'd love to know what anybody else thinks. Thanks for watching. It's just a completely unscripted video, but I appreciate you spending your time to watch. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.